So what's good? What's on the docket today, fellas?
I guess we got a ton to talk about, but first we got to introduce one of our most beloved guests, one of the highest rated guests on the couch here, Muhammad Atta's own boy, Ross.
That's me,
Dude, welcome
man.
back to the couch, dude.
Thanks, guys, for having me. I showed up and I yelled at Danny for not having my green jacket ready. But I've got my two-time belt on, so
The Nexium sash is in the mail. He will achieve proctor status. We are arranging a sex cult sect for his enjoyment.
Yeah.
They're all adults, all consenting. It's chill. It's fine. Get off our asses.
yeah, I think I've earned all of that.
Yeah, you're one of two recurring guests, I think, right? There's only two. There's Ryan and you. Ryan
that's
and Ross.
right. Yeah.
So
Hey, yeah,
Select
Ryan and
company.
Ross.
Select company. Then I'll
join the
take that.
elite
Our
squad.
names are doing real big numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to be back, guys. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, of course. All right. So, what's been going on? I don't know. What do you guys want to get cracking on? What has happened recently that has really caught your ear?
I mean, I think the first thing we have to talk about today, because it's so relevant, is Jeffrey Toobin jerking off on camera in front of all of his distinguished New Yorker and WNYC colleagues. I think we have to talk
Jeffrey
about
We have to
Toobin,
address the hog in the room.
that. There is a stray hog in the room.
the famed legal scholar and CNN commentator, has he been suspended? What is it? I don't know.
So I think he's like one of those guys who is so high up in his field and like where he works that he's been given some quote unquote time off
Oh, right.
to
Okay.
address things with his family and all that. Do some deep introspection. But on my way over here, I was on Twitter, obviously, and so because when I saw this earlier today, it was like, famed legal commentariat guy, had a dick slip on camera, which is what I thought it was. Like, we all have class on Zoom and stand up, and maybe you have your boxers on or whatever. But it turns out that he was participating in like a simulation with a bunch of his colleagues about the election, like how they would all fight, like the courts and the media and Republicans and Democrats. And he was playing the Supreme Court, hearing like a potential election case. And then like the two sides went into their breakout rooms, and then they came back and he was jerking off.
Oh my God.
He was literally jerking off. Two sources like spoke to someone anonymously and said like when they came back in from the breakout rooms, he had tilted his camera down to his penis and he had his hand wrapped around it.
Wait, so he wanted everybody to see then?
Confirmed.
So this is
Well,
like
they said that it seemed like he was on a second call, like, which I don't really know what that means, but like maybe he was like,
he
maybe
was
he has
like,
a dual monitor.
Yeah. He called his like mistress because he was on break from this like legal thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then he was like,
Exactly.
"Look at my dick," and then the team came back on Zoom, and they were like, "Jeffrey, is that your hog?"
And he was like, oh shit.
Look, I just don't think that he should be faulted, all right? He's a method actor. It was a simulation. He was getting inside Brett Kavanaugh's head. It's all... I think it's cool, frankly.
That is exactly
it
what
was
Kavanaugh
Amy
would be
Coney
doing.
Barrett on the other call.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Hey, can't fault him for that. Can't fault him for that.
Yeah, I mean that was a big deal in my world today. The legal world that I'm on the periphery of.
Sometimes little nuggets of good news just drop themselves in your lap, and you got to recognize them when they come and appreciate them for what they are.
Yeah, I like that's a nice feel good story in the midst of.
It's very feel good.
Yeah.
He definitely felt good.
For a while.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I mean the little blurb I read on my way over here was like he like left the actual call he was supposed to be on, and I guess like came back and was like back to normal without realizing that anyone had seen what they actually saw. So I think he probably got a call like after that and then was like, "Hey Jeff, like you had your hog out."
Did they see him climax? Like,
I
I
always
don't know.
wondered that.
I mean, inshallah, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah. Hopefully
we have
somebody
to
was
hope so.
recording this.
But yeah, I mean, that was big today. I was happy about that.
Well, Ross, you've been away for a bit from the pod. I just want to hear your take on our president's health situation over the past few weeks.
Frankly, I would like a hefty dosage of whatever he's been taking because he looks like he's having the time of his life. He's dancing to the Village People at every rally he holds. He's obsessed with men in the audience. He wants to kiss the guys. I honestly inject that straight into my veins, whatever it is. I will take it. I guess in all seriousness, I think the thing that's really been laid bare by this is the fact that this country is like predicated on stratified access to healthcare and really all services. You know, the fact that he's notoriously in bad health from, 40 plus years of eating only McDonald's and never exercising, and he stays up all night tweeting, and he probably never drinks water and all that, and now he's like more or less fine. Like, no, he got the best healthcare anyone could possibly hope to get. He wasn't put on any waiting list. They didn't wait for his symptoms to be as bad as humanly possible. So I think that is really kind of depressing when you actually take a couple seconds and think about it. But it does look like he's having an amazing time, and I'm enjoying watching him having a good time. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
it's been funny at the very least.
Yeah.
But that was frustrating when he was almost complaining, where he's like, "Oh, there's like 8 doctors around me, like they won't get away from me. Like, there's a cure. Everybody's gonna get the cure soon."
Yeah.
It's like, wow, being so blind.
Yeah. Trump was just saying, like, don't be afraid of it. Like, you can't fear this. Like, you can beat it. And it's like you only beat it because you were injected with stem cells. Like, what the fuck?
You can beat it. You fucking, my grandmother, probably not so much. I mean, remember like in March and April, before testing was even a thing, before anyone knew what a test even was, there were like celebrities on Twitter being like, just tested negative, thank fucking God. And we're like, where are you getting this?
Right.
So, I mean, we've been living in the age of mask off for 4 years now. And now everyone, not just the Republicans, are complicit in it. Just like you said, Ross, the stratification between the super wealthy and regular folks is being laid pretty threadbare.
I think one of the most obvious places we've seen that, and I think is kind of a double-edged sword, because I think we don't all like the same sports, the 4 of us, but we're all big sports fans of something in some regard, and like the leagues were all able to restart, whether it was the NBA or the MLB or soccer for me, because like they had massive access to contact tracing and like daily testing regimens, and it's like, yeah, I'm glad I can watch my soccer team play and I can watch the Lakers win the finals, but I mean, where are the resources for that coming from, and why are they not going to normal people? Mm-hmm. But that's of a theme with, or of a larger that's of a larger theme with this country as a whole, unfortunately.
Now the plan just kind of, let's stick kids back in school. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, reopen your state, Governor Whitmer. You sexy bitch.
Yeah, I guess we have to talk about that too.
Yeah, but I do want to talk about the real reason why Trump recovered so quickly. So I'm going to play this clip for the listeners to hear the real reason why Trump was able to recover.
I'm back because I'm a perfect physical specimen and I'm extremely young.
I mean, he is curvy. He's a thick queen.
He's a snack.
He's a whole meal. So in terms of perfect physical specimen, yeah, absolutely. I don't see the problem.
What's the part at the end? I'm extremely young.
Yes, he's a perfect physical specimen,
and
he is
so
extremely young. Yes.
But that's not even like how he normally lies. He's usually like, I'm the smartest president. It's like, okay. Like, you're objectively not young. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's roid brain, baby. It's roid brain.
He's having a great time.
It is.
Give me that shit.
Yeah, it's either complete roid brain or the cure not only made him bisexual, but it gave him a sense of humor. Those are like the two options. Because when he did his like address to seniors, he was like, "Many of you probably don't know this. A lot of you don't know it. You why would you know it? But I'm actually a senior citizen myself." It's like, no, dude, we all fucking know that. We see you.
How old does he think we think he is?
I don't know. I don't know what he thinks a senior citizen is. So
I don't know. Does he think he's gonna live to like 200? So he is still like really young.
Yes.
Like on that scale, he's like, yeah, I got a long time to go.
He's like what, 57?
He's got to be. He's younger than Obama for sure.
Yeah.
He's better at basketball too. So that was like during his like post hospitalization media blitz where he was calling into Fox News like every 5 minutes to talk to people. And we also got, from that time period, another great clip that I'll play, which is Trump commenting on the Green New Deal.
Their website that endorses the Green New Deal, and Joe Biden saying he would spend trillions of dollars on it and pledging that. What would the new Green Deal look like, in your view, if implemented as promised by both Joe Biden and as a co-sponsor with Kamala Harris in the U.S. Senate?
Did that happen?
Well, it's a deal that was conceived of by not smart people, AOC plus 3 and others. I don't even think they had any experience in the environment. But this was a deal conceived of, and the real price is $100 trillion. That's more money that this country could make in 100 years if things went well, okay?
What?
I mean, they literally want to take buildings down and rebuild them with tiny little windows, okay? Little windows so you can't see out, so you can't see the light.
What?
And the whole thing is so crazy. It's such a crazy thing. And take a look. And Biden agreed to this with Crazy Bernie because, you know, they have the manifesto. They've agreed to most of these things.
God, I wish that were true.
And it's going to cost more money. Our country will be a ninth world country, not a third world country, a ninth world country. We won't have energies. Look at what's happening with the rolling blackouts in California. Look at where California is going to have to ration water. You know why? Because they send millions of gallons of water out to sea, out to the Pacific, because they want to take care of certain little tiny fish that aren't doing very well without water, to be honest with you. But it's a very sad thing that's happening. It's no common sense. Even the
They're sending millions of gallons out to sea to help fish?
Millions of gallons out to sea to help a little tiny fish.
Wait, who's doing that?
Which needs water, to be honest with you, according to Trump.
What the fuck is he talking about?
Nobody knows. That's the great thing about Trump. He also said, he returned, 5,000 square miles of ocean to Maine. And people were like...
How do you do that?
I don't know. He just returned the ocean to him.
Dude, we poured it all over Portland. Everyone is wet now. Thank you.
Yeah, but, so, just, from the start, Biden does not support the Green New Deal, obviously.
No,
I wish.
That's why we don't like
That's
it.
on fucking Hannity for saying that, as if Biden and Harris would lift a fucking finger to help the environment. I mean, he'll probably do, more than Trump's done, which is to say Trump is, actively damaging it, and Biden will probably damage it less. I don't know. There's no precedent to, determine that. But, that's on Hannity.
If you listen to the full clip, Hannity is basically just recommending or suggesting ad ideas to Trump. He's like, "Oh, that would be an easy ad to cut." He literally says it, and then he starts talking about the Green New Deal, and wants Trump's comments on it. And Trump, from the start, is like, "It'll cost $100 trillion, and apparently that will take over 100 years for us to pay. If we paid all of our money towards it when the U.S. GDP is 20-something trillion dollars. So it would take less than 5 years in actuality to pay for it if we wanted to.
I don't know where that math is coming from.
It's completely made up. And then Trump just clearly has no idea what the U.S. GDP is or even what GDP is. So he's just a confused old man. And
he doesn't know how nature works.
He has no idea.
Ocean for the tiny little fish.
Yeah.
I mean, it reminds me of in the first debate with Biden where he was talking about sweeping the leaves off of the forest cities. He just says shit. Some of it sticks, right? Some of it works itself into the Q mythos, and it's no, he didn't really mean this. He's talking of, I'm trying to think of an example. I can't really think of it. You guys know what I'm talking about. Some Trump total fucking nonsense. They're like, oh, this is code for he's going to catch the pedophiles. Yeah. But when there's this much Trump, brain diarrhea nonsense that just comes straight from his addled brain out of his mouth, you can't mythify all that shit. So it just comes out looking like silly nonsense. Yeah, like you said, it could have been an ad spot. It could have been a little gotcha for Trump, but how's Hannity gonna spin more ocean for tiny little fish into an anti-Biden ad?
Yeah,
it'll be yet to be seen.
The best part, in my opinion, was Trump saying they want to tear down all the buildings and rebuild them with little windows, tiny little windows you can't even see out of them.
Like what is he talking about? I mean, I don't really engage in giving Trump the benefit of the doubt, but like I think there's some argument that like maybe the thing with the water is like, I'm from California, Danny's from California, like there are routine like, don't use water after this time of day. Like don't fucking water your plants at 3 times a day or whatever. So maybe he's saying like they cut water supply. So I don't know. There's an argument there, but like the tearing down of already existing buildings and then rebuilding them with smaller windows. There's no argument for that. There's no way of making sense of that.
Because I kind of took that as he's seen like those memes on Twitter of like, this is what communism looks like, and it's just like it's just like a Soviet building that has like a big apartment complex,
and it's like a prison in New York City that they're showing.
It's Rikers Island. Yeah. It's Riker, and he's like, look at the tiny little communist windows. Like I think that's
I can't even see out. Yeah, because that's a pretty good Trump actually, because like his whole brain is filtered through like real estate too, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Before he got sick a couple months ago, God, it feels like it might even be like a year ago. I don't even know what his time.
Yeah.
When he was complaining about shower pressure.
That's
and
the
the
best.
toilet
There's
not
more.
being-
He's still doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta flush it all the time, folks.
Yeah, he filters everything through like shitty real estate decisions and tries to spin them as political issues that people care about. And it's like, no, that's just you, Mr.
So
Trump.
my takes are that he was probably talking about, because he talked about energy and blackouts before talking about the flushing clean water out to sea. He's probably talking about the inability to build a dam because of the Endangered Species Act, is what I'm assuming he's talking about.
Probably.
Which probably happened at some point, but it's like, yeah, I mean, you can't
make people connect those dots when they're that far apart.
Right, exactly. Like I'm sure at some point he was told this by somebody and he just didn't know how it actually worked, so he just has to like just spout out like the only thing that he can remember, which is like the bare bones of like, they're just flushing clean water into the ocean for one little tiny fish. And then and then I'm assuming the building thing has to do with like building more energy efficient buildings, and in the South that would probably mean using smaller windows so that you can, you don't have to cool the buildings all the time, but up here it would mean building bigger windows so that you can keep the building warmer in winter. So my assumption is like that's what he was talking about, but nowhere in the Green New Deal does it talk about it doesn't talk about not building dams to protect endangered species. That's just the Endangered Species Act. It's been on the book since the 70s. And then it does not talk about tearing buildings down. It just talks about making them.
He's saying they're going to tear down buildings that already exist and build them basically as they already exist, but just with smaller windows.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's not happening. There's nowhere where that's happening.
Yeah, it's just like
you tear down World Trade Center 1 and just put little tiny windows.
Yeah, there's too many windows in the new one. Freedom Tower is too free.
You couldn't even jump out of them if the windows are too small.
I think that the thing in there that makes the least amount of sense, like there's no defense to that, is we won't even be a third world country, we'll be a ninth world country. He's like, I'll just choose a number that's higher than 3 for some reason. Like, that's not a phrase. No one has ever said that.
That's his idea.
Right,
he
so
thinks
check
it
it out.
goes just further. He thinks like, like Cuba's a 4th world country, North Korea's a 5th world country. Yeah.
There are 9 countries right now. Right now, Somalia's at the bottom, USA's at the top. But under Green New Deal, it's going to be flipped, folks. Either that or like, okay, so first world, USA, England, Western world as we perceive it. Second world, USSR, Iron Curtain. Third world, all the proxy impoverished states. Fourth world, interdimensional, time travel. So ninth world is where the flowers sing to you and you can taste colors. And frankly, I'm here for it.
Yeah,
so
for that.
I am now voting for Joe Biden. You've lost my vote, Donald Trump, sir.
I would like to officially announce the Case and Conscious the Ninth World podcast. We are presenting to the Ninth World, and you're welcome. We can now taste colors.
So speaking of the shower pressure thing, because he hasn't given this up. This has made a comeback recently at his rallies because he's on fire lately. He's killing it out there. And so I'll play a clip quickly of at one of his recent rallies in Carson City, Nevada, where he spoke truth to power finally.
Someone had to say it.
So, I hate to say the three things. It's the shower, it's the sink, and the third element in the bathroom. But I don't say it, because every time I say it, they only talk about that one. Because it's sort of gross to talk about, right? So I won't talk about the fact that people have to flush their toilet 15 times. Okay? I will not talk about it. I'll only talk about showers but there is three things. I won't talk about it. This way they can't report it. So what happens, I call my people, environmental people, why are we doing this? Because when you wash your hands, it takes you 5 times longer. The water's not coming. You got soap, you can't get it off. I said, open it up. They said, what do you mean? Take the restrictors off. People know. And if you're out here, you got to be careful and you got to do all the things you've been doing anyway. Take the restrictors off. And you may leave it in certain areas where you might need it, but most of the country, big portion, it doesn't need it. Then on the shower, the worst. You ever get under a shower where no water comes out? And me, I want that hair to be so beautiful.
What the fuck?
Wait, so what did he say? You have to flush the toilet 15 times?
15 times, yes.
Take off the restrictors.
So I think, like,
Mr. Gorbachev, take off these restrictors.
Isn't that just like him saying that his diet has finally come back to bite him?
Yeah,
and he can't flush
he's
his
taking
massive shit anymore?
massive shits that the toilets
That's all
can't
that
handle.
is, right?
So I think that what happened is that he had like custom built toilets in Trump Tower. He got to the White House and he had to deal with normal toilets. And they just can't handle the capacity that he's trying to send down those pipes.
It just can't handle the thrice daily McChicken shits he takes.
Like, presumably the White House has the like really top end plumbing, right? So there's that. There's also the fact that like even if you don't have top end plumbing, you probably don't need to flush 15 times to flush a shit. People in very poor areas of the world in the United States usually have working plumbing, right? So who is this for? What is this about? I've wondered this, like, why is this such a hit at his rallies? It's one of his personal grievances, and he likes talking about personal grievances, sure, but why do people cheer?
People love it.
And then, as I was making Best of Felix Part 2 for my Chapo compilations, I pulled a clip. There was a quote from the episode after Trump's inauguration where one of their guests was like, what's he going to talk about when things get boring and everyone's used to him? Like, folks, the bath mats at the White House, they're too thin. They're too thin. I was like, wow, he ended up being right. So I wanted to intersperse like a clip from Showergate rally. And I went into the comment section and they don't love it because they agree. They love it because the big orange boy is talking about poo-poo pee-pee stuff. They think that shit's hilarious. Oh, this guy's even making my toilet great again. It doesn't need to make sense. It's fun. It's a spectacle. They don't give a shit.
Yeah. He's shitting out his doo-doo ass.
He's shitting out his doo-doo ass.
Shitting out his doo-doo ass.
And that's what they do.
Yeah.
We all shit out our
doo-doo asses.
They're just shitting and farting constantly.
And I guess like that's more like coherent at times than him trying to read the teleprompter.
No, and also I think that there is something really appealing to everybody about a president talking about something that is like taboo or uncouth, because it's just like, oh, this is like hanging out with like one of my guys at a bar and he gets fucked up and he's like, my fucking toilet can't handle my shits, man. It sucks.
The weird thing about that is like Trump does that stuff where he talks about shitting out his doo-doo ass, but he also, not so much anymore, but definitely when he ran for president 4 years ago, he would get up and start talking about like, oh, Bette Midler was very, very rude to me, folks. Bette Midler, that bitch. And it's like, there's no one who lives in fucking Central Ohio who knows who Bette Midler is.
Yeah.
or cares about, what's
Grayson
that
Carter's
Grayson
parties.
Carter's bad food restaurants, which is an all-time line.
Oscar party no longer hot. Yeah, no.
Yes.
Rick from South Dakota has been to those parties, and let me tell you, they are snooze fests.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's no way that there are swing voters in, I don't know, rural North Carolina who know what Vanity Fair is. That's not looking down upon them. That's just, it's not for them. It's for, coastal elites who care about, what dress someone wore to the Met Gala. Was I someone who used to read Vanity Fair religiously? Yes, I was. But, like he used to go on about that stuff, and now he's just like obsessed with, bowel
Poo-poo pee-pee
movement.
time.
Yeah, shitting out his dude.
Well, that's good that
shitting and farting.
that means that he's just more in tune with what his base wants to hear. He's learning, he's evolving politically.
I was going to say, do you think it's like a stand-up doing well? Like he's getting a reaction, so he'd rather do that than care to get elected?
Right, because he didn't get a reaction when he complained about the Oscars party, right? Like,
Yeah.
nobody in the audience cared about that. But when he talks about, toilets and shitting and farting, like, people love it.
Yeah. Hogs go wild for that.
Remember when he was speaking at a Boy Scouts of America national rally during the shutdown and he just complained about the Democrats the entire time and it was really alienating? So like he knows what happens when he isn't on. He knows how to get the hogs going.
He's bombed before and he hates it.
Yeah, he's definitely bummed. I mean, he was bombing like all summer. All the stuff in like May, June, July was like he was really low energy. I don't know. I think getting COVID is kind of the best thing to happen to him for a while. I mean, he's definitely going to lose this election, but I don't think he gives a shit at this point. I think he's having an amazing time. And I love to see it.
And he said, like, I feel better than I did 20 years ago. And I think he legitimately really does. He feels better than
he out. I would too.
Yeah. Like, and he not only like, he looks better. He has way more energy. He's dancing. Like,
yeah,
he
you
just
see those dance moves? He looks really limber.
Yeah, he looks like his old self again. Like peak 2016 Trump, where he was just like out there, just fucking freewheeling, and people were eating it up. But what I've realized is there's actually a lot less racism this time around than there was in 2016. 2016 was so focused on Mexicans being evil.
Yeah, that's all gone.
Haven't heard anything about even South American migrant caravans.
Yeah, well, because now he's campaigning on being successful at building the wall, and he's like, I built a wall. It's great. Mexico paid for it. They say that they didn't pay for it, but they paid for it. They didn't pay for it, obviously. But I do want to get to the most important development that has happened recently, which is that Trump has become our first bisexual president, our first queer president.
Fucking finally, man.
So that's huge. So I have, believe it or not, and this isn't all the clips that I could play, but I found 3 good ones of Trump professing his love and attraction for men. So
there's more than one.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
at least 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm into it.
So here's one.
With me, the nice part. I went through it. Now they say I'm immune. I feel so powerful. I'll walk into that audience. I'll walk in there. I'll kiss everyone in that audience. I'll kiss the guys and the beautiful women and guys. Everybody. I'll just give you a big fat kiss. No, but they're...
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's one.
What an inclusive
He
guy.
really wants to do it.
He really
it's a little
does.
more insight into how Herman Cain died. I'll say that much.
Okay, and here's 2.
And now I'm immune, they tell me. I'm immune. I could come down and start kissing everybody. I'll kiss every guy, man and woman, man and woman. Look at that guy, how handsome he is. I'll kiss him.
All right.
Not with a lot of enjoyment, but that's okay.
He would love it. He knows
He would absolutely love it. He probably beat the shit out of gay kids in high school, and he would make out with infected Donald Trump in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
He absolutely caught himself. Where he's like, the base wouldn't like this. The base wouldn't like this. Like he was ready to just like slap one on that guy in the front row.
Because instead of just saying, I'll kiss the big guys, now he's calling them handsome. So that's
Look at that guy. Look at that guy's big hog. I can see it through his shorts.
Folks, he gave me a reach around.
Yeah.
It was no big deal. It's not gay.
And then in, I think this one is in Wisconsin. So yeah, in Wisconsin, this was yesterday, I think, last night, he did this one.
And now I guess they say I'm immune, so you could... I'm immune. And I got better fast. I can now jump into the audience and give you all a big kiss, the women and the men I'll kiss. I'll even kiss the men. I'll kiss those big, powerful men down there. I won't love it, but I'll kiss them.
Did you say thick? Did he just say thick, powerful?
Big,
powerful men. I'll kiss those big, powerful men down there.
That's still pretty explicitly homoerotic,
Well,
right?
yeah,
Powerful man.
He
went-
knows what he's saying.
He went from
yeah.
just acknowledging that he would kiss a man, that's the first step in coming out, and then he said that he will kiss a man that he finds handsome, a specific man. He pointed to one that's handsome, and now we know maybe he has a type. And now he tells us what his type is to the camera: big, powerful men. So that's what he wants.
Trump is a bottom for sure.
Trump is for sure. He's a bottom. Yeah.
He's a bottom.
Melania pegs him.
You heard it here.
I have a morbid curiosity. I kind of want to see Trump's ass. The way that it like juts, like you seen the picture of him at the town hall. He's sitting with like his front
doesn't
half
Yeah.
sit on it
Yeah,
properly.
yeah. It's sort of like it's a remix on how he stands, which is like, chest puffed out and ass out too. It's like a fusion dance of the Chad walk and the Stacy walk. So I have a morbid curiosity as to what his ass might look like.
Oh, he's got a caboose on him. That thing's
Yeah,
huge
he
and
got a
flabby.
trunk for sure.
Yeah, whole ass wagon.
Yeah, I'd love to see it sometime.
I mean, it means though that if you're earnestly voting for Biden, you're biphobic, you're problematic, and frankly, you're canceled.
Yeah.
That's the only explanation.
Why
So
isn't
maybe-
Biden kissing men?
I take it back. Trump is going to win this election because every coastal elite lib is going to have to swallow their pride and vote for the bi candidate,
Yeah.
which is Trump.
He's got the queer vote, so
I think he's wrapped it up.
it's undeniable.
Milo Yiannopoulos is all of our dads now. That's how this works.
Yeah. Just like Clinton was
Milo
the first
Yiannopoulos.
black president, Trump is the first queer president. So finally, we got one.
Representation matters, baby.
At last.
At last.
Maybe Biden can change his stories about corn pop. Retroactively. Retroactively
Yeah.
be clear too.
Yeah.
On a different meaning, huh?
Yeah. They started out as enemies and then eventually grew to be lovers.
Yeah. So we actually have two queer presidential candidates for 2020. We're good.
Thank God.
Yeah.
All those fucking live action Disney movies, they worked, folks.
They're turning the freaking presidents gay.
Oh man.
I mean, at some point though, I mean, he's basically done this at every rally for the last week or so now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the next step has to be him like
Doing
dragging someone up on stage and just making out with someone.
Yeah,
He's got to up
let's
the
go.
ante.
He's gonna have to do it.
That person will die of COVID in 2 weeks.
Oh yes, for sure. They're getting sacrificed to the altar of Trump being gay, I guess. But like it makes me think that someone has told him like this is how healthy you are. Like they have to put it in terms he understands. Like oh, you can start kissing Melania again, which I'm sure doesn't happen. But like they've definitely put it in some really dumbed down context, and he's like, oh, that means I could just start talking about kissing guys in the audience in my rallies.
Yeah. I want to go to a rally, like infiltrate and just be in the front and wait for him to say it and then just scream at the top of my lungs, "Prove it!" and see if that will make him, because I feel like once he gets challenged with that, he's going to be like, I got to do it. I got to kiss a man on the mouth.
Why don't we expand this offer? He could have any one of the Case in the Couch guys. We'll all be in the front row, and he can pick any one of us that he wants. Ross, you're included in this, okay? Okay.
All right,
So we're gonna go to the next rally. All four of us are gonna stand front row. We're gonna get front row, and he gets the pick. He gets the pick of the litter, dude.
Yeah, and one of us get to smooch on that big moist upper lip of his.
So now the question is, out of the four of us, who does Trump pick?
I guess we'll see.
Nick, I think it's you, man.
yeah.
I think you're his type. You got the beard. You're like the most Midwestern of all.
You're
of
big
us.
and powerful.
You're the biggest, most
I think it's
powerful of
gotta
us. I want that big, powerful ginger down
yeah,
there.
could you imagine? Look at those blue eyes. Get over here.
You're so cute. I just
Oh,
want
you
to kiss
can squeeze the cheeks and the sides. Look at this guy. Okay, this is weird to talk about myself in this context, but I think you guys are right, and I will take one for the team.
Yeah, you have to.
You absolutely have to, because we have to
Thank you
prove
for
that
your
Trump
service.
is bi.
Keep his number if he gives it to you. That way you can get some of that baby smoothie that they've been pumping Trump full of and then you'll beat COVID and you'll feel
Yeah.
better than ever.
Invincible.
Yeah, we'll try baby smoothie live on the pod.
One thing that I love about all this, if I can I know that hypocrisy dunks are so fucking tired and, oh, you used to say this and now you say this, but like we literally have like the all jokes about him wanting to kiss men at his rallies aside, like Trump has pretty much embraced gay people, LGBT people. I mean, except for the T part, obviously. But other than that, like, the embracing of gay people is sort of a signal that, the cultural battle that's been fought politically and in mainstream pop culture of like gay representation, like the conservatives lost that one. Lost that. And how are they keeping Donald Trump alive through the Regeneron company? Through stem cells, a big right-wing bugbear like 10, 15 years ago. Abortion is still one, but I feel like they've moved on from stem cells specifically.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a little hypocrisy dunk, as effectiveless as shouting into the void as it is. But when you think about it, it just like kind of gets me pissed off.
The only thing though, I think the like those specific like battles within the culture war have been lost by the conservatives, but I think, they're changing strategy now in terms of like they're leaning back so hard on like the religious freedom stuff, and that's now the avenue through which like they don't need to win against like LGBTQ representation, they don't need to win against abortion per se, but this idea of like winning on religious freedom means you can do what you want in those other fields and you're exempt from any sanction because, oh, well, my religion says I can't work with gay people, or my religion says I can't hire gay people, and like that I think is kind of terrifying, because like even some of the big Supreme Court decisions from earlier this summer, like Bostock and stuff, like there were always carve outs in there from Roberts and Gorsuch about religious freedom, and it's like, well, with ACB probably definitely going to get voted onto the Supreme Court this week. She's another religious zealot, so like there's definitely going to be more and more carve outs for religious exemptions to the Title VII stuff with regard to sexual orientation and transgender status. Like they're never going to win outright, but it's death by 1,000 cuts, I think, and that's how that's going to go.
That's true. Even though they have to publicly embrace LGBT cultural posturing, they can always subvert it through religious.
That's exactly right, because they don't run on that anymore. They don't run against LGBT, and they honestly, at the presidential level, they don't run against abortion. Trump hasn't run against abortion. So he has said at times, he has said like misinformation about like late term abortions, but he hasn't run against the right to abortion. Like even when asked at the last town hall about it, he didn't say anything. He refused to comment on it under the guise of not wanting to influence ACB and like any decision that she would make. And like, but we all know what ACB will do on the court, and we all know what their entire agenda. Because the thing is like this signaling, like they don't say it out loud, which is enough that it sinks to the background of a lot of Americans' minds, especially people that don't pay attention to politics that much. But the signaling that they do and how effective they are in actually achieving the policy means that the evangelical voters, who are the only people that they're caring to win with this type of rhetoric or this type of policy, they know what's happening. And they're going to show up to vote for them regardless, even if they don't say it out loud, because they know what the end result will be, which is less access to abortion, I should say, to safe abortions at least.
Right, and that's the end goal. I mean, I think that's the thing that carried him over. And that's why the Pence pick was such a big one, because it was like, all right, well, if this guy can sign on to everything else with Trump, well, at least this evangelical guy can sign on, and that's the signal to that evangelical voting base. But I wonder what that means for this election, because in a week's time Trump will have had 3 appointments to the Supreme Court, which is like unprecedented in such a short period of time. So I mean, does that depress evangelical turnout, or do they think, fuck it, like Breyer's not that young, maybe he get a 4th in the next 2 years? Like I wonder how that actually plays out for them as a motivation, or do they have what they want, or do they want to go like full-throated, let's make it, because it's going to be 6-3 with ACB on. Do they go really hard again and say like, well, fuck it, we want 7-2, we want 8-1?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think this shit is over until they make it The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
So I want to hit on a few things. One is Bolivia.
Hell yes.
Vamos.
Viva Bolivia, I guess. So I guess we'll just start with that because I'll bring up the other two after we're done talking about Bolivia. But the CIA did its best. You know, they're just not what they used to be, honestly.
No, these are lean CIA years.
Yeah, and so they did their best. They tried to overthrow a socialist leader in Bolivia, and then Evo Morales' party won in the first round of voting with over 50%, obviously, because you need that to win the first round. Fuck you, CIA. We fucking won.
Yeah. Fuck you, Fernando Camacho, too. I don't know if you guys saw him. So Fernando Camacho, for listeners, was the candidate running. I can't remember. I don't know what his party's called. It's like it's called like I think it's like a really kind of problematic name. It's like the right nationalist movement or something. It's like it's a little on the nose.
National Socialist Party.
But yeah, I think he got like 15% of the vote, and he was at some rally, where candidates, have the rallies on election night ready to celebrate or concede or whatever.
Revolutionary Nationalist Movement. Yikes. Sorry, carry on.
Thank you, though. That's not good.
Oh, and he's 5'5". Come on.
Short king.
You just gotta start. They just gotta start adding fascist to their name. Just like add it to the name. Yeah. Just go for it.
Yeah. Just Bolivian Fascist Party. Just do it.
The BFP.
But yeah, he was at like his campaign headquarters or whatever, and it was like a big TV screen behind him, and the results were coming in. He was just bawling his eyes out.
Yes, I saw him crying,
which was so satisfying. But like, I looked into him more, and just like an absolute monster. He's from this region of Bolivia called Santa Cruz, which is like apparently a kind of separatist region, like kind of similar to, I guess, like Catalonia is in Spain, but right, not left. And he was part of this like youth movement that does like Sig Heils on all their videos and stuff. Like they do like guerrilla videos in the forest, and
Jesus,
they all wear like green beret type shit and do Sig Heils on camera. And so you know what? I'm glad to see him crying, and I hope he gets his comeuppance. I won't specify what I hope that comeuppance is because parody and all that. But
this is a good comeuppance for the moment. I'll say that much.
Yeah. Personally, I do support fascists not winning political power. So
you heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Dude, you scared me for a second because like you took a pause.
I was like,
where's he gonna go with this, folks?
I mean, we don't have to do parody when it comes to foreign leaders. Like we can't be held responsible for that. So somebody fucking kill the fucker. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, fuck it.
American presidents have tried their best, not with this specific party, but with foreign leaders in the past. So
yeah, I mean that guy is associated. The Camacho guy is associated with some like Croatian Bolivian guy who is basically in exile in Brazil. Shocker. That's where they all go, right?
Yeah.
Like what a mix. Croatian
guy was like involved in some plot back in like 2010 to kill Morales. So what?
Right.
Fuck it.
Yeah, they're trying to kill him. Yeah, they're trying to kill Morales, so I have no problem with people killing them. Because,
Oh, and Camacho was the guy who, like, after they forced Morales to resign, he was the one who went into, I guess it's like the presidential palace or whatever they call it, like with a Bible being like, we're returning Bolivia to its, like, Catholic roots. Like, and he referenced some, like, Andean like Mother Earth spirit thing. It was like this thing, whatever his name is, I can't remember, is like, this is never returning, just like a massive slap in the face to Morales and like the indigenous people like he kind of pulled up with him. So I'm really glad to see him fucking crying on live TV.
Get fucked.
Yeah. We should do an episode on Latin American politics because it's a very fascinating intersection of neoliberalism and like one of the few regions that saw a wave of socialism. So that would be a fun thing to do.
And also just like, it's easy to go like anti like modern imperialism with like what's happened to like Central and South America. So I think that'd be a great episode.
So
one of the funniest things I saw in the wake of the Bolivian results, because there's all these fucking neoliberal assholes like Yasha Monk and all those people chiming in being like, well, it looks like socialism's going to win again, and like, God forbid. But one of the best ones of those was from this guy who is Bolivian called Andres Oppenheimer. And someone found like an old article he'd written, and it was about like his childhood and growing up and whatever. And I think one of the opening couple paragraphs said like, he was born in 1951, right? So do the math. And then it was like, when my parents moved here from West Germany, and it's like,
West Germany,
like, oh, okay, we know what your
Yeah.
parents were doing. All right, Oppenheimer. Like, Jesus.
Shoot.
I had an explosive youth.
My high school used to organize trips. You could sign up to go protest the School of the Americas in Georgia. I was my primary interests at the time were video games, and that's about it. So I didn't go. I wish I had, though. I wish I had.
No.
So the second thing that I wanted to talk about to wrap up here is one of my favorite stories from recently, which is the FBI either uncovering or entrapping a far-right plot to kidnap apparently several governors of U.S. states, Democratic governors, who have ordered schools to be shut down or stores to be shut down and have like put in place mask mandates.
AKA tyranny of the highest order.
Exactly. So to defeat the tyranny, far-right wingers decided we need to kidnap Governor Whitmer of Michigan, or I don't remember who the other governors were.
Ralph Northam from Virginia.
Ralph
Which would be
Northam in
funny.
Virginia, and I think there was one more. I don't remember. But yeah, the FBI was able to stop these plots, and they arrested a bunch of dudes. And if you look at the mugshots and the names of the dudes, it's exactly who you would imagine.
It's exactly what you would expect.
Yeah, just picture it in your head, and you are correct. And I mean, just thank God that we stopped these.
I mean, I think yes, thank God, but like also I am a little bummed that the Whitmer plot specifically was foiled, because I was really, really looking forward to seeing on LiveLeak an ISIS style beheading video in someone's Midwest unfinished basement with a Gadsden flag behind them. I think that would have been great, to be honest.
I mean, they would have taken him to like Menominee Falls. And it would have been like, yeah.
But I mean, the law student that I am, I had to read I went out of my way to read the complaint that was filed against the Whitmer guys. I have it in front of me because it was just, there were so many things in there where I was like, this is so on the nose. So one of the plotters was called something Fox. So one of the paragraphs in the complaint says, on June 25th, 2020, Fox live streamed a video to a private Facebook group that included, and then it references like one of the kind of embedded confidential informants, in which he complained about the judicial system and the state of Michigan controlling the opening of gyms. Fox referred to Governor Whitmer as, quote, this tyrant bitch. And then, the whole idea of like they were going to storm the Capitol building, and then they were like, what if we actually go to her like vacation home instead? And so the same guy says, Fox suggested that they get a realtor to help them find the exact location of the vacation home and collect information on the surrounding homes and structures. Fox discussed the importance of knowing the layout of the yard, homes, and security. Like they were trying to get blueprints for her vacation house.
From a realtor.
From a realtor.
Just go to Zillow, you idiot.
The best one, this is just like, you couldn't write this. On July 27th, Fox asked in an encrypted group chat, which included a number of the other people and one of the like FBI embedded people, quote, okay, well, how's everyone feel about kidnapping? No one responded to the question. Like, you're not supposed to say you're doing crimes over text.
You guys want to do some crimes?
Hey, you want to break the law, please? Like,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah. Y'all want to kidnap?
Yeah.
That's mad funny.
I think that although probably the best part was, and Miguel, I think I sent this to you, but there was a guy, one of the guys' Facebooks was found, and he posted about like, it was only like earlier this month, and he posted like one of those Facebook statuses isn't just the text, but you like put it over like a color background, and it was like, all I really want in life is a girl who has a fat ass and knows that 9/11 was an inside crime. Anybody out there for that? It's like,
Now
that's
listen,
awesome.
When the Democrats
King.
talk about unifying with the other side, I'm beginning to know what they talk about.
If there are any female listeners to this show, I can't imagine there are that many, but if there are any, if you have a fat ass and you think George W. Bush did 9/11, please DM me.
Hit him up. ATF intern on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, please slide into my DMs. We can talk about how jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. Please reach out.
Yeah.
And the other funny thing that kind of came out of the Widmer plot was one of the reactions from Blue Checkmark Twitter was like a picture of the dude's front lawn talking about how we need to acknowledge how economic conditions might take a role in radicalizing people. And it's like, have you drank any water that didn't come from a DC tap in your entire life? Like, have you been outside of an urban center even once?
Yeah,
like,
have you been outside the Amtrak corridor? Because like that's what a lot of people's houses look like.
yeah, serious. You drive through any sort of rural neighborhood, yeah, you're going to see a lot of fucking Trump signs, but you're going to see a lot of Biden-Harris signs. You're going to see a lot of Bernie signs. Like, rural voters are not some monolith. He's not entirely wrong in saying that economic conditions are driving people towards Donald Trump, but you can't acknowledge that without acknowledging like the importance of class first politics. So you just kind of, as a liberal, you just kind of get yourself in a bind. And
right, they were almost there. They almost figured it out. They're almost like, economics matters to people's politics. But then they didn't realize, well, that means to appeal to them politically, I need to appeal to them economically. And instead they were just like, if you don't vote for Biden, you're a racist. And it's like, okay.
Yeah,
well,
which is always the line that they have to fall back on because it's all they fucking have.
It's like, damn it, you were so fucking close to getting there. You just couldn't do it. You just couldn't bridge that tiny little fucking gap, that tiny little window. You can barely see out it.
You can't even see through it.
Let's see the light. Yeah, I didn't really get that whole discourse. I thought it was really it's I don't know, it's like weirdly like poverty shaming too. It's like, you're responsible for your entire circumstance, nothing, there's no outside forces that, mean that you live in the way you do. And it also like heavily relies on the assumption that like maybe that's how that guy likes his yard to look. I know it's kind of a dumb take. It's like,
right, yeah.
It's like, yeah, he has a big fuck off truck. Like he doesn't need a massive apartment or a really nice house. Like he has a banging truck and like a ton of shit in his yard that probably costs a lot of money, but like that's how he lives. Who gives a shit? Especially when like the complaint is about like them being like, I want to go to the gym.
Yeah,
like
right.
They're not saying like, oh well, Governor Whitmer ruined my small business, or I didn't get the stimulus I wanted, or the unemployment benefits were cut off. Like, no, I want to go to the gym. Like, no, this is a normal guy.
Some reopen America asshole.
Yeah, which,
who gives a shit?
I'm not sympathetic to that, but like, it's not the way, it's not the complaint that that liberal commentariat was making it out to be.
But also with the poverty shaming, or just like them trying to make that connection there, is it's like this, have you never been, even if you live in DC, have you never been to the vast majority of DC, which is like the poor urban areas, and have you not looked at their yards? Like, if you go to any inner city in the US and you go to the poor areas, it's a disaster. Like, obviously they don't take care of their property. It has no value. It has zero value to them. So there's no reason to take care of something. The only reason why white people take care of their property is because it's their fucking investment. There's no reason to take care of your property if it's not an investment. And so
that's always one of my big red flags about like when, we're all of kind of a similar age and like none of us will probably ever own a home and all that kind of stuff. But like there are people who are our age who have made it and like do own a home. And they're like, oh, it's just a really good investment. And it's like, that's such a weird way of thinking about somewhere you need to fucking live. Like there's such a small percentage of the population that actually thinks like that. Like, oh, owning property is a great investment. And like those people are applying that logic to the guy who lives in rural Michigan who likes to go to the gym and drink beers with his buddies.
Right. But the thing is, like, rural Americans do own their property. A lot of them do.
That's true.
But it's just like, but they're also like, it's dying. The area's dying. They can't sell it for anything more than what they bought it for. So it's not an actual investment. It's just they happen to own it. and it's probably going to be worth less than what they bought it for because nobody fucking lives there anymore. They all moved. So it's just like, it's I don't know. This country sucks.
And like with like to go back to your comment about like has he been like outside to like the DMV area where like all the poor black people are? Like if they have, first of all 4 doors are locked. White knuckled hands on 6 and 3 the entire time, or not 6 and 3. What is
10
it?
and 2?
10 and 2.
Jeez,
Yeah, you're right.
6
No,
and
dude,
3.
Danny driving 6 and 3.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
6 and
sometimes
3.
you gotta make an intense U-turn. You're being pursued. Shit happens.
Yeah.
See, California makes you cool.
That's Danny drives that way because he drifts a lot. So he's got to be able to yank the wheel quickly.
It's true. But like they need, like, even though they're terrified going into these black neighborhoods, if they do ever, like, they need black poor people to act as a monolith the same way they need poor white people to act as a monolith. Like you said, like, they come close to acknowledging the economic hardships that might drive someone towards right-wing politics because it's the only people that's offering. I mean, they're offering them, hey, it's poor people and immigrants' fault that your life is this way, which is obvious bullshit, but at least it's something. Like, they get close to recognizing that, but they can't. It has to be, oh, you're racist, right? So it's, oh, the noble plight of the, the suffering black community and the horrible racism that's holding back the white people who, my God, if they had just been born a little wealthier and gone to Columbia, they wouldn't shoot themselves in the foot by voting for Donald Trump again and again. When, like, obviously, yes, the struggle of black people in America is noble because they get shit on all the fucking time. And yeah, they are a voting bloc that generally I ideologically line up with more than like rural white people. But like, in not acknowledging the cause of this ideological split, in not acknowledging any sort of economic suffering at all, it just has to be all racism all the time. You miss the point. And man, if it were any different circumstances than the bizarre shit that 2020 has put on our plate, I would say it's how they're going to lose again. But I don't think they're going to lose again.
Right. So on a final note of just like trying to reconcile why somebody supports something that they shouldn't, and they only support it because they were born that way, I just want to say congrats, Danny, on the Dodgers winning the pennant and making it to the World Series. The Empire has won thus far, but we'll see if the Rays can knock them out in the final round.
The liberals hate me just because I was born a Dodgers fan.
But yeah, otherwise I think that wraps it up, right?
Hey, Ross, thanks for being on again. I can't wait to have you back on the couch. And,
yeah, it was great to be here, guys.
And yeah, I think that's another up. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.